Have you ever felt like you were meant for more than what you've become? Maybe you feel like this life was supposed to have more in store for you than what has come into fruition. In my case, I always felt like something was different about me, that I was meant for more, like my life was being held back by the people around me somehow, like I somehow was of a different quality than the crowd around me, as though something separated me, but unfortunately, this was only ever an illusion. And the reality was that I was below average in a lot of ways, and what separated me wasn't very good at all. I should have seen what was right in front of me, but I thought I was somehow different from the crowd, and I was wrong. Instead of looking for similarities, I looked for differences. We all have resistance to what means the most to us, and if you wouldn't take advice from someone, don't take criticism from them. I have gone my whole life trying to play games with my own mind just to feel okay. I have apparently in a lot of ways made negative progress in my life, and maybe you can relate to looking back and feeling farther behind, or maybe even stagnated to where you thought you would be by now. I know I'm supposed to celebrate small wins, and this YouTube channel is a way for me to celebrate those small milestones that I do every day. The thing is that the past can be lied about. The future doesn't exist yet, and so only the present moment that we have right now remains. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline perseveres. We have to just show up at the same time every day. Celebrate small wins and make it so that it's easier to be successful than it was to be unsuccessful. There's a future I can't imagine for myself, and that's what I'm working toward. My voice and your voice is important. We survived through these seasons of life, and we all deserve our flowers. Whether or not our life is where we are or where we want it to be or not, give yourself a time to celebrate and accept your flowers. And a daily reminder, sometimes it's just good to play hooky and take a day off. It really seems like in this life it's been one emotionally charged event after another. Each time we have less freedom and more division by the time the dust settles. And I know there's a lot of mainstream events going on right now that are very difficult to talk about, but I always think that it's important to never trust the official story on anything and to question everything, but don't just assume the opposite of authority-based claims. I know that authority-based claims aren't gospel, but it's better to assume that it's propaganda and think critically about it, but don't become a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. It feels to me like as much as we want to be different and have agency over our lives, we are all chess pieces on someone else's board, and we are locked into our next move without knowing what we are moving for or who we are moving for. And a lot of us have collected dust over these years from opting out of society and not feeling like we belong anymore. I remember something splintered in my mind at one point, and my thoughts began to get darker and eviler until I was completely consumed by these evil, horrific, intrusive thoughts, and I thought I would accidentally manifest these terrible scenes into real life because they seemed so real to me. I felt like a malicious gaze was right behind my shoulder, judging my every move, some sort of long-lost authority figure that was patrolling my actions, until I felt myself completely dissociate from my mind, and life no longer felt real. I've dealt with derealization, depersonalization, all of these things, and I can't remember exactly what triggered this, but I was both lost and disconnected from my own mind. I was lost from my mind, I was disconnected from my mind. I don't remember how I came back from that, but I know that yoga and mind-body exercises helped me slowly come back to reality. But then I wondered how I would know if I was truly back to reality. And what is reality if not a general consensus? Ever since I had this splintering, I felt like I've been disconnected from consensus reality. And to this day, that feeling remains. I feel like I have one foot in the other world and one foot here. And I started journaling and started sharing my experiences online recently. And stream of consciousness journaling was where I started to help write down my thoughts. And venting on a page was the first step. The next step was to share with other people, which is what I'm doing right now. And if you're new to this channel, hi, my name is Shelby. I make art. I'm a visual artist. I struggle with disability and unemployment right now. And you can support this channel, of course, by subscribing, by leaving a comment, and of course, super thanks, channel memberships, buy me a coffee, and of course, if you're interested in my art, you can follow me on Instagram. Link is in the description below. And if you're interested in purchasing that art, you can check out my Shopify. So just a free little plug. This video isn't sponsored by anyone, although I'm completely open to sponsorships if someone is interested. Just putting that out there into the ether. Anyway, so sharing and speaking out loud instead of just stewing alone in my own thoughts. Sharing, even if it's just on paper, clarifies my mind and grounds the thoughts and brings cognitive distortions to light. I started focusing on the way to solve problems instead of keeping them in my mind. And a lot of times I don't have the answer to the problem that I'm seeking. So I put it out there into the world because I think that when we try to solve problems in isolation, it takes 20 times as long. When we're surrounded by people and we're learning from their mistakes, it's a lot easier. I dump my obligations on paper in the morning to take out of my mind and to break them down into individual tasks. Each task into a smaller task, and that task into a smaller task too. So just a to-do list, honestly. So, you know, mind dumping in the morning, I think Julia Cameron explains that the morning pages are very powerful. And the morning pages are 3 pages stream of conscious in the morning, which I recommend everyone try. Training my mindset was done through the exercise of my mind and body and reframing the bad. Focus on gratitude and checking my fears against reality. Ask yourself questions and then ask other people these same questions. You want to give yourself the final authority over your life, but you also want to give yourself perspective. What advice would you give a friend in your situation? View yourself from the outside looking in. What if you were just some other person in the street that you ran into? Write things that you're grateful for. Focus on what you already have, and it will grow. Ask how someone else would solve the problem and try it from their perspective. What would someone else do if they had your problems? What would someone else do? What action would someone else take if they were in your shoes? It's kind of like asking what would Jesus do, but you're asking about whatever anyone would do. Hopefully a positive role model. Write down magnet questions that you need a miraculous answer to right before you go to sleep. The answer will come on the edges of sleep and wake. That's kind of a dream catching strategy. And what worked well today? Ask yourself what you succeeded at. What would you improve? And what is the plan for tomorrow? I think the reason I self-sabotaged was I didn't know how to solve next level problems because I didn't know what to expect. It's like when you enter into this next level realm, your responsibilities and your problems automatically change, and there is a very large chance of failure. Name your negative thoughts, a stupid name like Schmiegeldorp or something like that, and focus on the best case scenario while troubleshooting without overthinking. So if you name if you say Schmiegeldorp is really bothering me right now, Schmiegeldorp is trying to sabotage me right now, and it kind of dehumanizes and disempowers your intrusive thoughts. No one's opinion matters in the arena. If you fail while doing it, while daring greatly. So it's better to fail big and go home a loser, because the real losers are the ones that stand in the stadiums. And this channel is a way for me to take that risk. I deliberated over starting this channel and sharing my failures for a very long time, almost 5 years actually, because that's how significant this channel was going to change my life. Like, the longer you wait and the more resistance you feel towards something, the more difficult that it's going to present itself to be, but it might not be that difficult. And haters are indicators that you are growing. If you are surrounded by haters or people trying to drag you down, just know, try to stay the course, because you're about to reach the next level. Haters typically have no curiosity, no boundaries, and no agency. No curiosity in terms of they've just accepted the status quo for their own life and they don't see a way out. The fact that you see a way out, and even just, taking care of yourself and not eating the standard American diet, making different choices from the norm, that gives you agency over your life. And not everyone has that agency. And when people see someone with agency and with upward mobility, they sense it and they want to drag you down. And opportunities often look like uncomfortable uphill battles, something that you're not ready for, something that requires effort, something that is difficult. So a lot of times we think that opportunities are going to be this glowing, gilded moment where we feel completely aligned. But a lot of times it's a lot of hard work that presents itself to us. And on the other side of that hard work are the lessons that we need to level up. But again, these opportunities are once in a lifetime in a lot of cases, and sometimes we mistake the devil coming with us in a suit and tie, and sometimes we mistake things such as temptation for opportunity, like someone saying that we're going to make a lot of money together, for example, without actually stating a business plan. If it involves immediate gratification, it's probably not the opportunity that you think it is. People that come from where you come from hate it when you make it out, because you both started from the same place, and it shows them their own failure by comparison. That's one of the reasons people drag you down. Disagreeing with a world you didn't ask to be in, that you didn't design, shouldn't be a threat, or shouldn't be an outlying behavior. It should just be common sense. We didn't build this world. We didn't ask to be a part of it, yet we are all a part of it. And I think that we only live once, of course, and I think meditating on death, and assuming that death is going to come sooner rather than later, never assuming, always planning that we'll live to be 100, but never assuming that will be the case, living each day as if we don't have a lot of time left. Choose risks that don't risk livelihood, but usually just risk whether or not you look stupid to the group. I think that's really important. I think that humiliation is not nearly as bad as we'd like to think it is. It's just a very discomforting feeling at first. And a lot of the assumptions that we make about looking stupid to the group are just trying to impress people we don't even like, to buy things we don't even want. That Fight Club quote. And I think that quote is very powerful. You never want to just keep up with the Joneses just because you want to. And at the end of the day, if you feel like you are meant for more, it's those micro choices that you make over the course of your life. A lot of us get stuck in mental flagellation, I guess, where we fantasize about a future, or we are maladaptive daydreaming instead of taking right action towards our goals. And this channel is one of these things that I'm putting out there to take right action towards my future. And right now, my future, I don't plan or fantasize about the future in the same way, because I think that it was always a cope. Planning for the future in terms of like fantasizing how great it's going to be is always a cope, because the future is going to be a lot like the present. There's going to be problems. There's going to be hard work that's involved. There's going to be difficult times ahead. And pray for the problem-solving skills that you're going to need to solve next-level problems, because you've gotten used to poor people problems. I've gotten used to poor people problems. I've gotten used to the problems of this level. And I want to become more aware of my current problems, my current stuff, so that I can be ready to solve next level problems in terms of leveling up. And we are all made in the image of the divine. You can believe that or not. I think that the divine might be a bit ugly, honestly, if this is the best we got. But it's a nice belief system. Believing that we're in the image of a higher creator, that we have a higher purpose by default, is something that we can become connected or disconnected to, but that purpose is always there. And I've been immediately disconnected from God through depression, through anxiety, through trauma, through wondering why terrible things have dislocated my life in such a way where my future is now so difficult. It's difficult to remain present at a deeper level when there's so much pain, and there's always a temptation to escape the pain, of course. But the longer we try to run from that pain, the more it's going to snowball. So moving through pain using mind-body techniques has always been helpful for me. I begin to tell myself I have everything I need to proceed. The strength of my relentless spirit and the focus that I place on the future knows no limits. So we want to remember how difficult the past was. We don't want to re-emulate the past. A lot of us get stuck dwelling on the past, but I think that there's a combination of things in order to succeed. I think that in order to be an outlier, you have to remember the pain of the past, the difficulty of the past, and then be ready to cultivate a future where those things aren't going to happen. And you have to kind of discern, were these growing pains harmful, or were they what made me who I am today? And it's easy to forget that all these painful experiences that we were forced into, all these uncomfortable experiences that we were forced into, built who we became. And we want to continue to become, because stagnation is very difficult to get out of. My spirit is strong, and with strong intention comes success. We want to rebuild our intentions every day, and my intention for this channel is to show my evolution as a person over time and to document my life. And it's not just about making money. I wanted to bring you guys on this journey with me. And my journey as an artist, as someone that is kind of a disenfranchised youth in today's society, I wanted to bring that you guys with me, because I wanted to see the bigger picture of where I fell into my life, because I had become disconnected from community. And disconnection from community is where people start to make choices. They get radicalized. They attack people that stand for free speech. I've been in dark places where I've thought about committing terrible acts. And you don't even realize how bad those states of mind are in until you've been delivered from them. And not to say that I've aligned myself with Jesus or anything like that, but I know the Bible is a powerful book of wisdom and all that. So if you're praying for me, pray for me. Pray for everybody in my situation. I really want to bring you guys on this journey of evolution. And that spark that we felt when it came to feeling like we were different from the herd is not just an illusion. I think it is true. And I know that the results in our lives might not reflect that. But somewhere along the way we misunderstood the assignment. And I think it's important to bring back that spark of youthful hope, and the way we felt like we could impact the future, and bring that back into our consciousness and try to bring that into fruition, and remember that we all have worth and that we're all beautiful and trying to figure this out together. And I think that with that, I'm going to end today's video. Again, you can follow me on Instagram. That's where I post my art. Check out all my links down below. And try to stay positive. Try to take gradual action and sustain action over time. And never give up on that. There's such a thing as positive peer pressure. And let's create positive peer pressure here in the comments. Talk about your small wins in the comments. Talk about what you've been doing right, and let's build on these small wins together. Thank you guys again. My name is Shelby, and I'll see you in the next one.